everybody, I'm really sorry that my hair and everything is just not perfect today, but I totally forgot that it was meant to be my day to film. This week we're doing a 10 things theme, so I thought I'd go for the obvious, being the intuitive person that I am. So I thought that what I would do is 10 differences between living in the UK and living in Australia. Well, specifically in Adelaide, because I can't speak for all of Australia. So the first thing, which is so obvious but has to be said, is the way people talk. Over here, people say things differently, not just with their accent, but there's also a lot of words for things that you wouldn't expect. If someone is upset by something, instead of saying, "I'm saddened by this," they would say, "Oh, I'm devo," which is like slang for devastated. It takes a while to get used to hearing all of these things, like, oh, if someone's going to the service station, or I'm going to the servo. And by the way, all of the petrol stations here, or servos, have proper food in them, like a Subway or somewhere you can buy pies, that kind of thing. I think the closest we have to that in the UK is the Wild Bean Cafe, and their coffee tastes like dirt. The second thing would probably be the weather. Obviously, again, the weather is sort of up and down. It's weird to actually experience the change between winter and spring. It's massive. Back home, I feel like it takes months to build up to summer, and then summer is like 25 degrees. Whereas here, it just goes from like 16, bam, 25, and then the next day it could be back down to like 17. That's so odd for me. I'm so not used to having warm weather, so when it happens, I'm just in my bikini, got my towel, ready to sunbake, ready to go, and I don't think that's considered normal here. I think normally people, because they're so accustomed to it, they don't actually jump out as soon as the sunshine shows, whereas I'm just like, yeah, sunshine, let's go. Another thing is the food. There's obviously like famous things like Vegemite. Vegemite is like the Aussie Marmite, in case you hadn't heard. It's only slightly thicker. I think that's the main difference for me anyway. A lot of Australian food is actually just Italian food stolen by Australian people. The staples here, I'd say, are like spaghetti bolognese, chicken parmigiano, which I'd never even heard of before I came here, which is basically like schnitzel chicken with Napolitan sauce, ham and cheese. I still haven't had one yet, so I don't know. Roast dinners are big here, which I'm obviously delighted about. Barbecues are a lot more common, obviously. People don't barbecue shrimp though, they barbecue prawns, because prawns are like, you can actually fit them on a barbecue. I think if you tried to barbecue a shrimp, it would just fall straight through the bottom. Chocolate. Chocolate is the one that is killing me. They have all of the chocolate that you have, like pretty much all the chocolate that we have back home. Sorry if I'm going out of focus, by the way, I have no idea. Yeah, the chocolate bars all taste different. Why do they taste different? The dairy milk ones just taste like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like dusty. It's like they've taken a dairy milk and left it in some kind of bomb shelter for 10 years and then rediscovered it and sold it to the general public. That's what it tastes like. Other than that, things like Lindt chocolate taste the same, so whew, Lindt chocolate is my other favourite, so if that tasted different, I would be out of here. Oh, the wildlife, again, that's so obvious, but the wildlife is really different here. Personally, I haven't really seen any snakes or any spiders. I think I saw a shark, but it could have just been a wave, I don't know. But things like birds and insects are really different. There's like parrots roaming the skies freely, and kookaburras, which make a really horrible sound. In the sea, there's obviously jellyfish, so I don't really go in the sea because I'm a big scaredy cat. What else is there? There's like these weird marsupial creatures that pop up out of nowhere. Like sometimes I'll even forget that I'm in Australia, and I'll be walking along the road and there'll be the biggest dead squirrel I've ever seen in my life, and I'm like, whoa, that's a big old squirrel. And then it turns out it's like a possum or something. I haven't actually seen a koala yet. I'm really looking forward to seeing a koala. Something worth talking about is that the fashion is pretty different. Not like hugely, it's not like everyone's wandering around in totally different foreign clothing, but I feel like they're a lot more insular. You know, there's a lot of Australian designed things and they've all got their own style. It's very sort of tailored and structured, almost quite masculine, but yeah, it's quite different to how people dress in the UK. As you can see, I'm not really doing a great job of looking fancy right now with my hair all like poof. By the way, if you can hear a really weird noise, that's me scratching my mosquito bites. That's another thing that's different here. You get bitten to death by everything. Like, you could just be walking down the street in your thongs and all of a sudden there is just an army of ants crawling up your leg because, oopsie daisy, you stepped in an ant nest. And then you have to stand there and like brush them off in front of everyone. That happened like so many times to me. I've lost count. It's horrible. And then, you know, you go to sit outside for 5 minutes and you'll look down and there's literally mosquitoes just sitting on your legs, feasting on your blood. So if you feel an itch in Australia, it's not just in your mind. You've literally probably got about 5,000 things sitting on you. I'm pretty sure I got bit by a spider the other day and that was so rough. Transport, oh my gosh. So the transport here is actually pretty good and pretty efficient. Back home we've got the Oyster card, and the Oyster card, you top it up with £10 at the beginning of the day and by the end of the day it's all gone because you got a train into work today, or you had to catch more than one bus to your destination. Whereas here, the way it works is you put your money on, so let's say I put on $10, and when I tap it, it's activated for 2 hours. So it doesn't matter how many different modes of transport I use within that time space, it'll just charge me the same amount. It just says transfer. But getting to places that just like a little bit far away from my house, like especially along the coast, is so difficult. The main sort of beach area is Glenelg Beach. There's so much to do there. There's restaurants and there's bars and it's beautiful, and everyone, like in summer it's just full, everyone's there. But to get there from my house you have to get like 2 buses, a train, travel by canoe for 1 kilometre and then transfer via gondola, and eventually you will actually get to Glenelg. It's so difficult, and after 6 o'clock, forget it, you can't get home, you gotta get a cab. This is not a very good list. I'm not listing off 10 things here. I'm just sort of rambling and stream of thoughting at you. On the note of chocolate, they have got some pretty bizarre sweets here, and they're not called sweets, they're called lollies. They've got like jelly babies, I think they're called Chico babies or something, but they are like chocolate flavoured jelly babies, and I had one and I think it's probably the worst thing I've ever tasted in my whole life. Oh, and they have these biscuits here. Biscuits are not the same as they are back home at all. Like, I'm used to having a good old digestive and I just can't seem to find them here. I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong stores, but digestives are what I live for, you know, the chocolate and the crumbly malty flavour, like it's so good. And ginger nuts and rich teas and bourbons, like when you go to someone's house, I'm pretty sure 95% of British people have at least one, if not all, of those biscuits, whereas here you've only really got Arnott's brand biscuits. Arnott's biscuits are just like all that same sad, crumbly, you know, like the Viennese whirl type biscuit? Not good. It's just, yeah, so disappointing. And even though like it might be chocolatey, you'll go, ooh, chocolate, and then you'll bite into it and it's still that horrible dry crumbly biscuit and you're like, oh, I just want like a really brittle rich tea or something, you know, you can dunk in your tea and it won't all just crumble into oblivion. Oh, speaking of tea, tea is another thing that is very, very different. It's so different. I think most British people respect the need to brew the tea in the water, whereas Australian people, despite the fact that the tea bag usually has a string with a little tag on it telling you how long to brew the tea, 3 to 5 minutes, they will totally disregard that information, plop the tea bag in the hot water for about 5 seconds and then take it out and add the milk, which for me is just abhorrent. Just not right. You're not supposed to brew tea for 2 seconds. How does that compromises the flavour of the blend? It needs that time to infuse and osmosisize in the water. Also, people are really into coffee here. If you ever get a coffee from like the Coffee Club or Gloria Jean's, oh my god, it's not hard to be better than Starbucks, but it is better than Starbucks. And iced coffee here comes with ice cream and whipped cream on top, so you probably shouldn't have that too often or you will get cholesterol. I don't know if it's just the cinemas that I've been to, but I haven't actually encountered sweet popcorn, which is very, very sad because I really like sweet popcorn. Well, I like mixed. I like to do a little bit of both, you know. You got the scoop and you kind of, yeah, but over here, no, it's just buttered salty popcorn. Speaking of the cinema, another thing that they do differently is gold class. They have an experience at cinema near me, at least, where you can buy some extra special cinema tickets, like meals sent up to your chair and drinks, like alcoholic drinks, in the cinema. I'm actually going to go and see The Martian in gold class tomorrow, so woohoo, go me. So lame. I'm gonna cut that out. But a lot of the doors are sliding doors here in the backyard. I mean, I know at my house we have an irregular opening swinging door, but I'm pretty sure every house that I've been to here has sliding doors, like big old loud, like if you want to go out at night time, don't even think about it because you'll wake up the whole neighborhood. It's like I'm really bad at this. I really should have thought of the 10 things first. That probably would have made this a bit easier. I should probably go because the sunlight's gonna fade, but I hope I reached 10 things. If I didn't reach 10 things, I do apologise. This was a very impromptu video and I probably didn't get across half of the points that I will think of in 5 minutes time. And I will see you hopefully next week. I've been really crap at uploading videos, so I'm sorry, but I will try my hardest to get it done. And I'll see you soon.